the radio pivot point is what comes next, right? Tell me about that. I mean, this is obviously where I came to know of you. You got your radio job and you started getting notoriety. Like, how did that happen?
I was always a dancer and a rapper and a producer. And then I was producing for local artists. So like everybody in the scene in Boston knew Clinton Sparks. So then there was a popular DJ on Jammer 94.5 back then. So I befriended him and I was like, I'm going to add value to him so that I can be a part of this and learn how this industry works. So I would go get drops from artists. I would do like intros for his mix show. Sometimes I'd even do mixes for him. I became so friendly with everybody at the company that I ended up becoming the guy on the morning show that did the funny skits. So I was called Stun Stud Clinton. So I would do things like knock on people's doors the morning before Halloween and say like, hey man, I'm working tomorrow night. Can I just trick or treat now? Or like, I'm going to apply for a new job and I'd run around downtown, ask if I could borrow someone's tie so I can run into this thing and come back. Just dumb stuff like that.
Great stuff.
Yeah, so I started doing all that and then I became really friendly there. And then because I'm known in Boston, because now I'm coming up in the mixtape scene a little bit, Cadillac Jack was the program director, was like, hey, how come you don't DJ for our station? I'm like, oh shit, this is it. I'm about to get on. And then the guy, who I won't give a shout out to, was like, yeah, let me look into that. I'm like, let me look into that. This is a guy I was giving everything to. Like, I was looking at him like my brother. That moment, he could have been like, yeah, done. You're on Saturday nights, 12 to 2. He could have did it, but he was like, well, let me look into some things. I was like, oh shit, he's straight blocking me right now. Then a new radio station was opening up in Boston called Hot 97. There was another program director, Tom Calicochi. So people were like calling me like, we need to have you on this station. Cause like, why would you open a new station, not get like the dopest dude that everybody knows? So I go to my buddy, Roy. I say, hey man, I really want to be a part of this station. Like, you're my brother. I want to work with you. I want to do this stuff. I don't want to go anywhere else. Well, I'm trying. I'm working on it. They called me again. Well, yeah, just give me a couple of weeks. Third time Tom calls me. And I'm like, just give me 24 hours. Now I go to this guy and I'm like, dude, I want to be on your team. I know you're nervous that I'm going to dethrone you, but don't. It would be advantageous for me to be next to you. I'll always look at you as the king. I'll actually make you better if I'm here with you next to you. The line that came out of his mouth, which to this day shocks me, was, well, if you decide to do that, we'll always be friends. The reason it shocked me is because friendship, I realized throughout my life, means something very different to me than most people I've come across. Friendship wasn't even in question to me. Why would we not be friends anymore? But when he said that, I'm like, oh, you weren't really my friend. You were just utilizing the value that I can bring to you. And now if I'm going to go over there, I'm going to maybe become your enemy, which is bad for you because I'm going to fucking dominate you. That's what ended up happening. I went and got into that radio station. By the way, before I got into the radio station, I asked him, what's this Sunday mix that's on that it's not you. What is it? And he was like, oh, it's called syndicated radio. It's a thing called Super Radio. And then I spent a year sending them demos. They wouldn't listen to me. So I found out they were in my state. So I drove to them and I said, look, guys, you're either going to find a winner without looking. If you give me 5 minutes, I'm just annoy the shit out of you until you listen to me. They gave me the 5 minutes. John Garabedian, the owner, calls me. Hey man, I heard your stuff. We'd love to bring you on. Matter of fact, we don't even pay our DJs, but we're going to pay you. I was like, what? And I was like, hell yeah. So my very first radio gig was a 10-city syndicated radio show. Then I got on Hot 97. I started understanding how the business of the music industry works. I never, again, wanted to be a DJ. I was using this as a Trojan horse because I've always been a business person and a marketing person. Yeah. So I utilized like the music and radio to make the connections I needed to make. It just so happened that I became very successful as a DJ, which then pigeonholed me as a DJ for a while. But I noticed that, when they're doing promotions on an artist, they do regions. If I want to become friends with these artists, they just need to see me all the time. So then I went and I got on New York radio. I got on Connecticut radio. I got on Baltimore radio. By the way, all on my own dime. I was in 4 states on 4 different stations every single week, flying and driving on my own to build my brand and my network. Now I'm a super value add because now it's advantageous for you to be my friend. Right. Because you have music to promote and I'm on 4 stations. I'm going to really break your shit. My shtick on the radio was I'm going to be an innocent white kid who doesn't know better. Even though I know everything, but I know I can get away with asking questions or poking in a way that a black dude in hip hop couldn't ask because it would cause problems, right? So I kind of became the cool / crazy white boy. Yeah. You know what I mean? That everybody just kind of liked because it was endearing the way I was asking. But then also, he's also a super dope DJ and can produce. Right. So it was like non-threatening and disarming to talk to like the thuggish rappers about like the corniest shit that I could get away with. So that's how I built my relationships with everybody.
And you built some relationships. So can we talk a little bit about, I know you produce songs with a lot of the records that are behind us right now. Gaga, Pitbull, Akon, Ludacris, 2 Chainz, Ty Dolla $ign, Lil Uzi Vert, Big Sean. I mean, you discovered DJ Snake.
I discovered and signed DJ Snake.
Okay. So my listeners probably don't know what producing a song with somebody like that even looks like, sounds like. Are you in the same studio? Are you spending weeks together? Are you concepting? Are you doing it in pieces in your own home studio? What happens?
Well, it's different. You know, whether it's like writing a movie, making a song, all these industries. I mean, there's people that build companies together that don't even sit in the same office on both sides of the country. So some people I'm in the studio, some people I'm sending beats, some people will send me ideas, we finish them. Like there's no set way on how you make a song. But when you call someone a music producer, that means they're either in there physically making the music, or they're the maestro of putting everybody together, getting the right songwriter, getting the right artist. Like DJ Khaled, for instance, he's like the king of producing records, but he doesn't necessarily tap out the beats and make the records.
Right.
He's a genius at understanding how to, the right ingredients to make the perfect recipe. And then you'll have someone like Pharrell and Chad Hugo who are in the studio actually tapping out and making the music. So it's different, but traditionally it's the person that actually is making the music. I don't know if Snake ever told this story, but so I signed him in 2007, 6 years before we did Turn Down for What. By the way, we already had platinum records together. We already got a Grammy nomination together, but no one knew Snake yet. He was living the dream that most producers would want, but it still wasn't enough for him. So he was close to quitting. And I remember he called me one day. He's like, man, fuck this music shit. I'm sick of chasing records, trying to make hits for Flow Riders and Pitbulls, and they say no when we think it's a hit, da 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 da. So it's the music industry is probably one of the most discouraging and beat you down industries there is, because you can make 1 million records and not place one. All day, every day, you're making records and you're like, this is a hit. 7 years later, nothing's happening. So you have to have like tough skin to be in this business. So he's like, yeah, fuck this. I don't want to do this shit anymore. So I'm trying to encourage him. And so he goes, all right, I got this one record called Bird Machine, and I'm going to go down to Ultra Winter Music Festival, whatever. And he goes, I'm going to just go try to get the song to people. If nothing happens, I'm fucking done with this shit. He goes down and he runs into a guy named Dylan Francis. So he gives it to him. He ends up playing it on the set. It's a smash. Everyone loves it. Diplo's there, hears it, and then is like, dude, how do we put this out on my label? That was the beginning of DJ Snake going like this, because Dylan played it, Diplo heard it, put it out, and now he's got credibility. So the moral of that story is like, he was this close to quitting. Had he not believed in himself and flew to Miami by himself and went up to Dylan Francis, like, take my song, and had Dylan not took a chance on this new guy that he didn't know and played the record, Diplo wouldn't have heard it. And like, it wouldn't have happened. There's millions of those stories. I'm sure your husband has a million of them too. But like, I've been a part of so many stories where either I finessed it and made it work, or I played some kind of role in creating it in the first place. But the moral of that story is like, DJ Snake believed in himself. He was discouraged and he's like, I'm going to give this one last shot. And he did, and fucking changed his whole life. The guy sells out arenas, tens of millions of records sold. So like, we've all probably seen that meme where there's two guys like chipping away at a mountain. One stops, the other one does one more chip and there's diamonds, right? So it's like, that's life. You keep going. Inevitably, it's going to work unless you straight suck.
Right.
But like, if you have something and you believe in it, it's going to happen, whether it's a year, 5 years, or 10 years. Something's going to come around that catches up and realizes your dopeness.